Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So the other week we discussed the anchorage of ethics, and now we will now be talking the three prominent men that has really contributed in the field of philosophy and as well as in the field of ethics. So we're going to be talking the three pillars of ethics, the three prominent men, which are Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. So when we say pillars, the word pillars here actually pertains to a person's teaching that is really remarkable. And we're going to be talking today the teachings of the three prominent men that was mentioned earlier, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, because their teachings were really remarkable in the field of philosophy, and not just that, but also in the field of ethics. So let's start with Socrates. Okay, so Socrates is actually a moral philosopher. He is not interested in mathematics or science, but he was more concerned with the quality of his soul and of others. So his ethical foundation is that he believed that a wise man is a virtuous man, and knowledge for him will lead a man to live a moral life. And Socrates is also famous of his saying, which is he knows what is right, therefore should act what is right. And he also believed that human action is the extension or expression of knowledge. And according to him, knowledge and virtue are one and the same. And this is actually the principle of arete. So arete is actually a Greek word which means virtue. And the term or the principle of arete was used by the three prominent men, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, and pretty much all of the Hellenistic schools, including Stoicism. And Socrates is actually three Socratic principles. We have the unexamined life is not worth living, care for your soul, and good person cannot be harmed by other person. These three Socratic principles are actually one of his famous quotations of Socrates. Like the first one, that examined life is not worth living. Simply, this means that when you don't know yourself that much, then what is the point of living? Therefore, there is such thing as reflecting into yourself. Like at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, you need to reflect into yourself. What are the good things that you have done today, and what are the bad things that you have done today? At least that you are aware, and perhaps by the next day, that will be improved. The good things that you have done will be improved, and the bad things will be avoided. The care for your soul as related to the Socratic principle or the principle of Socrates, in order for you to care for your soul, you need to know yourself first. How will you care for your soul if you don't know your life that you are living? And in order for you to care for your soul, do good things and avoid doing bad things. And the good person cannot be harmed by other person is for me actually debatable in this generation, especially that in this generation even the good person are being harmed, even if they do not, if they don't do anything bad against a person. But since insecurity exists, so hilabtan ang mga wala ng hilabot. Okay, so aside from Socrates, Plato is also the greatest and the brightest student. Actually, Plato is a student of Socrates. Unlike Socrates, Plato focused on metaphysics, epistemology, ethics of politics, and poetry, rhetoric, and unwritten doctrines. Yes. And Plato believed that happiness lies in reason. He also defined um, man as the situs of two worlds. And according to him, man is a soul using a body. Now, going back to as to how Plato defined man, according to him, man is a situs of two worlds. When we say situs, this means property. Therefore, according to him, man is a property of two worlds. Because for him, man is a metaphysical dichotomy between body and soul. That is why for him, man is a soul using a body. When we say dichotomy, it actually implies that there is an inherent contradiction between the body and the soul. So the body, according to Plato, is actually a material being. It is mutable and it is destructible. Going back as to how he defined man, sitos or the situs of two worlds, a property of two worlds. So we have the ideal world and we also have here the phenomenal world. So under the ideal world, the soul has three parts, namely, namely the rational part, which is the head, the thinking part, and then the spiritual part, the heart or the chest, and then the appetitive part, which is the abdomen. And in the phenomenal world, which is the body, it is the phenomenal world here is the material, destructible, tangible, and temporary. Okay, so actually Plato has four basic virtues. We have wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. In order for us to understand these better, let us first define each of the virtues. So wisdom. By definition, wisdom is the quality of having experienced knowledge and good judgment, or it is a quality of being wise. And we already defined wisdom in our past lesson, in our lesson one. It is a correct application of knowledge. So for the virtue of, or for the Plato's virtue of wisdom, wisdom for him is the rational part of the soul. So going back, the rational part is in the head. Therefore, this pertains to the thinking. It controls or it rules everything. Well, courage, on the other hand, by definition, courage is strength in the face of pain or grief. Pain or grief. Therefore, the courage is in the spiritual part of the soul. This means the intellectual courage. And temperance is the moderation in action, thought, or feeling. So the temperance here is the appetitive part of the soul. The appetitive part of the soul is the abdomen part. This means the moderation of things. And then justice, of course, just behavior or a just treatment, being fair. So the justice is the observation of duty and righteousness. This covers the whole field of human conduct. Okay. Now, how about Aristotle? Aristotle is um actually another prominent person. If Plato is the student of Socrates, Aristotle is also a student of Plato. Aristotle was the greatest student of Plato. And just like his master, he believed that man's happiness lies in reason. However, it is not innate for a man to be moral, but nature demanded man to be moral. In order for us to understand deeper the virtue of Aristotle, I will present to you a video. This is just a short clip um, for us to understand deeper, or this is like a kind of a discussion of Aristotle's virtue. Okay. Okay, so let's just have a short recap of the important details that was mentioned on the video. So Aristotle defined a virtue as a state of character which makes a man good and makes him do his work well. And according to Aristotle, he stresses out that virtues are not feelings, they aren't feelings. He also um, defined moral virtue as a character state that allows us to feel emotions at the right time, towards the right object, with the right people, with the right motive, and in the right way. And he also made mention of the three virtues: the courage, the temperance, and the generosity. So for the courage, he defines it to regulates fear and confidence. And for temperance, it regulates the body pains and pleasure. And for the generosity, it helps us give and spend money well. And for him, virtue is actually defined by the mean or the intermediate. Okay, so let's have here the standpoint of conduct between fear. When we say mean, the mean is at the middle, diba? So this will distinguish us the kung unsay nagsobra kung unsay nagguwang. So between fear and confidence, the mean is courage. And between pleasure and pain, the mean here is temperance. Between giving and taking, the mean is liberality. And between honor and dishonor, the mean here is pride. Okay? And for the standpoint of intercourse between words and action, so in here we will be able to identify kung unsa ang nagsobra, kung unsa ang nagguwang. So for truth, boastness is the excess and modesty is the deficiency. So again, for truth, boastness, hambog, is the excess, and the modesty, or a state of being unassuming or moderate in the estimation of one's ability, or in other term, humble, is the deficiency. Which means when you are, if you want to be true to others, mas sobra pa ang pagkahambog kaysa pagkahumble. And the mean, what is the mean here is being truthfulness. How about in the pleasantness in giving amusement? So buffoonery here is the excess. So when we say buffoonery, by definition, this is a behavior that is ridiculous but amusing. And the deficiency here is boorishness, rudeness of manner due to insensitiveness to others. So the mean here is the ready willingness, which means you are willing to do something or you are capable of doing it. And for friendship, the exist here is obsequious. Obsequious means obedient or attentive. And the deficiency is quarrelsome. Kanang quarrelsome means hilig makig-away. Yes, hilig makig putak. That's quarrelsome. So the mean here is being friendliness. Okay? So another, like for example, in the standpoint of passion, between envy and spite, The mean there is the righteous indignation. Okay? So that's it. End of lesson 3. So we did not really go deeper on the teachings of the three prominent men that were mentioned, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, because we were only talking about their teachings or their virtues that are pertaining to ethics. Okay, so before I am going to end this video, please take note of the instruction that um, will be written on your Google Classroom, that after this video, you are to comment on YouTube your name, your section, and the things that you have learned while watching this video lecture. So your lecture notes will be uploaded today, and the quiz will be uploaded tomorrow. Okay? So thank you, God bless, and have a good day.